Please tell me the meaning of the name.
Yes, sir.
The good thing is that when you start speaking, you are very focused on the answer.
You have been a debater that history cannot be erased by deleting certain chapters from the school textbook. For the motion, against the motion.
Right? As a student of political science, do you think there's something called apolitical?
Whether UCC's enactment is a progressive step or a regressive step, especially with regard to live-in relation.
Your father is a surgeon and your mother is an artist. What is the difference in approach and mindset of a person practicing medicine and a person who's an artist?
Again, same thing with your hand movement. You are a natural expressing person. Your words, your intonation, your voice, all that is your training as a debater, I have no doubt. But along with that comes the body language. I'm using my hands, I'm not doing it consciously. It's a part of my natural being. And the UPSC expects you to be at your natural best.
Okay, sir.
I think very few people can smile sitting in that chair and you do that. So keep it, the same way.
Let's
May I come
see
in,
some
sir?
action. Come on in, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, please take a seat.
Thank you.
This is Bariya Mansoor.
Sir, it is Bariya Mansoor.
Bariya. Please tell me the meaning of the name.
Sir, it is an Arabic word which means God's gift.
God's gift. Okay. कोई मिलता जुलता हिंदी या उर्दू का लफ्ज जो कि I can relate to it? बराए, ये जो होता है बराए मेहरबानी. Is it etymologically related to that?
I am not sure about the meaning of the sir Barai, sir, but you can relate to the word Badiya. The word Badiya.
All right. चलिए. God's gift, therefore बढ़िया.
Okay, so Hindu college. Huh? Wonderful. So tell me, what is the motto of your college? First one.
I apologize, sir. I was unable to hear you.
What is the motto of your college? Hindu college. If you remember. Doesn't matter if you don't remember.
It has actually slipped my mind, sir. I apologize.
Doesn't matter. Some important alumni of your college.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have various Bollywood contributors like Vishal and Rekha
Other than
Bhardwaj.
Bollywood, let's talk of some other people.
Sir, we also have alumni who are working currently in the government at present, and these include like Subramaniam Swamy, the famous economist and politician, and sir, we also have contributors. I apologize, sir. It is slipping out of my mind.
This is a very trivial thing. Anyway, yeah. So I see that you have done sociology and you have chosen all science as your optional. Any specific reason for that?
Sir, I have appeared for interview past 2 times when I used sociology as my optional in the mains. However, sir, I missed the cutoff by a margin of marks, and one of the reasons was my low performance in sociology, and therefore I decided to improve my chances with a new
so
option.
You changed it later on. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You have been a debater.
Yes, sir.
So I give you a small topic that history cannot be erased by deleting certain chapters from the school textbook. For the motion, against the motion. History cannot be erased by deleting certain chapters from the textbook of schools.
Sir, first I would like to argue for the motion. History is not only limited to our educational institutions, and its dissemination is not only restricted through textual sources like textbooks. We are presently we are also living proof of the various changes and impacts made in our historical events, and therefore history cannot be deleted, because, for example, the present condition of the SC/ST community in India is a reflection of the socio-cultural and historical disadvantages they have faced due to the caste system. My second argument would be that, sir, we have various historical legacies that we see in the present day. For example, we are surrounded by culture, cultural monuments.
Okay, now against the other aspect.
Sir, we can argue that the importance of school textbooks in disseminating information to the present generation about the past, especially our historical events, is very much important. Because in our present day generation, we are mainly focused on social media and living our realities through the in the current context. However, what we are today is determined by what we are taught in the past. For example, sir, Germany is a living example of how they have integrated the wrongs of the Nazi.
Okay, fine. I understand that you have made your point. Recently, Sweden has joined the NATO. Are you aware of this fact?
Yes, sir.
What is the background and why? And what is the implication of this?
Sir, with respect to your first question, Sweden joining NATO is in the background of Russia-Ukraine war. Swedish people have been mostly neutral, especially in the post-World War II context. However, they have decided to join because the European security architecture has been threatened, and Russia has reflected revisionist as well as aggressive tendencies in the past 2 to 3 years. However, sir, with respect to your second question, the implications of Sweden joining NATO reflects that Europe is increasingly becoming militarized and has greater military and security concerns, and therefore they feel that they need to be within an umbrella of a security alliance, so that they can also focus on their own existential concerns.
Last question. Our foreign policy, since independence till date, there have been various changes in the foreign policy. Can you give a perspective in that?
Sir, in our post-independence era, we started with a foreign policy focusing on decolonization, and since it was an era of the era of bipolarity, and therefore we focused on non-alignment. This reflected a great moral base in our foreign policy, reflected through Panchsheel and non-aligned movement. Secondly, sir, in the decades of around 1970s, we shifted to an era of realism, where our contribution towards Bangladesh's independence struggle, as well as focusing more on our nuclear testing, reflects that we had become more pragmatic in our concerns in dealing with international affairs. Sir, thirdly, with the coming of the decades of 90s, we began opening up, mostly because of our economic concerns, and therefore this reflected in signing of greater FTAs and BITs in the era of 2000s as well. And finally, sir, most recently, we have reflected a greater importance being given to the cultural angle of our soft power in our foreign policy. This has been reflected through our various achievements like International Yoga Day being declared by the UN, millets being recognized, and further increasing issue-based alignment with various countries.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes, Bariya. So PSIR is your optional. I wanted to start with a slightly tricky question. Very often people say they are apolitical. Right? As a student of political science, do you think there's something called apolitical?
Sir, I do not think that there is saying someone is apolitical, I would say, is a misnomer, and reflects a limited understanding of how politics affects our everyday life. Sir, the phrase personal is political has been said in the context of feminist struggle. However, it can be more widely replicated to mean greater things in general as well. This is to explain this with an example. Often people say that we are apolitical. This is reflected through their nota votes or maybe not participating in the electoral process. However, even when we pay our indirect taxes, or even as a woman, maybe someone is facing the issue of marital rape. These are also very political issues, and therefore when we say that we are apolitical, it means that we are choosing to simply ignore the fact how politics is affecting our everyday life.
Okay. A political theorist from India who you think has great relevance to the times we live in?
Sir, I would have to say that B.R. Ambedkar continues to be very relevant in today's socio-political climate, especially in India. The concerns that he raised regarding the depressed classes continue to be relevant today because SC and ST indicators have to be improved, and the focus also needs to be given on the subcategorization of the benefits being given to them. And therefore, I would say Ambedkar's idea of providing political, economic as social concessions or entitlements in order to fulfill the historical disadvantages faced is much relevant today.
Okay. In political science, we are also told by several contemporary thinkers that tolerance has its limits when it comes to inter-community interactions. What are your thoughts on this particular argument, the limits of tolerance in contemporary world?
Sir, this argument arises in the context of freedom of speech and expression, whereas what one person says and to what extent it will be received is where we draw the line with respect to tolerance. And therefore, the Constitution has provided certain reasonable restrictions, and therefore tolerance, I think, basing this on constitutional provisions, we can draw the limits of tolerance to the extent where it does not harm the other person very directly and more importantly physically. Of course, this is a very politically relevant debate, and with the contours of which can be decided on a very case-to-case basis.
My last question. There's a distinction made by a famous political theorist from India between ethical and political secularism. Who is this theorist and what is the foundational argument for this distinction, ethical secularism and political secularism?
I apologize, sir, I'm not aware of this theory.
Okay.
However,
would you like to take a guess?
Sir, the idea of ethical secularism can probably be seen in a more broader context, where we talk about religious neutrality of the state and extending the role of the state only to the limits of religious reform or improving the conditions of the disprivileged members of the community. However, and of course, this is much more in the light of multicultural societies where one person's right of religion is given much high importance. However, sir, political secularism can probably be seen in a more limited context, where we talk about how politics and religion are interacting, and very clearly about the role of state, the role that state plays in it, and therefore it is more rooted in practicality, while the first one is more rooted in theory and subjectivity.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so good afternoon, Bariya. How are you?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm good.
Am I
Thank you.
pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So you have done BA honors and MA honors. Okay, from Jamia itself.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we will come to Jamia later. So you have also participated in the Youth Parliament.
Yes, ma'am.
So let us start with elections. Who decides when and where to have these elections, especially with regard to Lok Sabha elections?
Ma'am, the mandate lies with the Election Commission of India in decision regarding the date and the place of elections. However, it is also based on the larger constitutional cycle of 5 years, apart from the cases of by-elections.
Okay, that's very right. So recently we have heard a lot about UCC, Uniform Civil Code, which is passed in one of the states. So I want your comments whether UCC's enactment is a progressive step or a regressive step with regard to India, especially with regard to live-in relationships. The rest, of course, we all know.
May I just supplement this?
Yes.
You see, in LGBTQ, in adultery law, the courts have been more than what the society wanted them to be liberal. But in the case of live-in relationships, they have suddenly clamped down, registration bhi karaiye, ye bhi kijiye, wo bhi kijiye. So how do you find this contradiction, apparent contradiction? Please address.
Ma'am, with respect to the first question, I believe that UCC is a progressive step, and it reflects that we should codify various laws relating to inheritance, marriage, divorce, etc., and therefore adoption, and therefore ensuring that there is limited scope for limited discretion provided to various intermediaries, and it limits exploitation specifically benefiting women in various communities. For example, bigamy or polygamy practices.
No, we talk only about live-in relationships, not the others. I said everybody of us is aware how it is going to help women. But for live-in relationships, how is it going to help? Who is it going to help?
Ma'am, if we see this step of the Uttarakhand UCC, specifically their guidelines for live-in relationships, I do not believe that it is a very progressive step, because it kind of counters the idea of live-in relationship, which is based on which is not based on a very regulated idea of relationship, and therefore it takes away the autonomy of various individuals, as well as the progressive and the liberal idea behind same-sex couples cohabiting together. In my opinion, we should further increase stakeholder participation along the lines of the principles taken by Supreme Court in various judgments in the past, and therefore implement a more reformed idea of UCC with respect to live-in relationships in a broader context.
You know, when Government of India, they framed this act, they must have taken the views of all the concerned stakeholders, most of the sections of the society, and I believe it's a 750 pages report which has been, approved by the cabinet also. So there must be some thought behind it. Why did the government decide?
Ma'am, with respect to the positives associated with this step and the arguments in favor,
whom is it going to help? If you are having any XYZ is having a live-in relationship with another guy, then how is it going to help the guy or the woman?
Ma'am, registration of such live-in relationships will provide the benefit of a certain benefit of security to the woman concerned, and this is primarily in the background of certain heinous crimes being seen in, for example, the Shraddha Walker case, which came to light a few months back, and therefore it does provide a sense of security. However, it can actually lead to live-in relationships going underground, or in light of the punitive aspects associated with registration, and therefore or limiting the same-sex couples cohabiting together. And therefore, I believe that wider stakeholder consultation and inclusion of the critical comments regarding these regulations should be taken, and a reform can be thought of.
I mean, I'm not going to go forward because, you could have come with more suggestions like faceless registration, because it is so embarrassing for the couple to go to police station and get themselves registered, and if you're not registered, pay the fine or be arrested or whatever, So if government has thought about
think it through.
Yeah.
You came to that point about it's not about encroaching on somebody's privacy.
Yeah.
It's about women's safety. If you take that as the seminal thought, then you build your argument around it. Think about it.
Think about it, Yeah. So since one of your hobbies was debating, and we are talking about live-in relationships, I want you to tell 3 bad points about marriage. Since you have done sociology also, why people should not get married?
Men should.
No, women. Anyway, it can be either, whatever. You must have read something about it in sociology.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, some arguments against marriage would be as follows. As a woman, I believe that marriage can often take the form of patriarchal institutions. It can be seen through certain religious sanctions. For example, the idea of Karwa Chauth, where women has to fast for her husband, or certain rites and ceremonies associated with womanhood. The added furthermore, second argument can be that in a marriage, women often tend to be assumed as the caregiver role, especially after reproduction and having progeny. This often affects their careers. And in the present day situation where female labor force is increasing and the government also has the target of becoming developed country, with PM Modi announcing that 50% of female labor force participation should be achieved by 2047, we can encourage more women outside of marriage to pursue their career goals. And ma'am, thirdly, we have seen that divorce rates are on a rise and live-in relationships are also highly acceptable, becoming more and more acceptable through judicial and legal reforms. And therefore, I believe that live-in relationships provide an alternative to the institution of marriage. However, having said these points, I do not completely believe in them, but as a debater, I have made my argument.
That was very good. And since you're from Jamia, my last question to you is, can you name any 3 or 4 famous alumni from Jamia?
Ma'am, some alumni from Jamia include the famous Shah Rukh Khan, Barkha Dutt from the
Shah Rukh Khan was enrolled in Jamia, but he did not get a degree from Jamia.
Yes, ma'am.
He could not finish.
But we selfishly count him as an
alumni. Yeah, we are proud. I agree. Okay. Next one.
We also have, ma'am, the famous journalist Barkha Dutt from Jamia Millia Islamia. Yes. And we are all, we have...
cricketer, some famous cricketer is from here.
Ma'am, I am unable to recall the exact name.
Okay. That was my last question, but you should, name some of the alumni famous ones.
It would be expected.
Yes, and I could have asked you more on Jamia, when did it become deemed, when was it a Central University, etc. So do study.
Both Hindu and Jamia, आपके जो alma mater हैं, उनके बारे में आपको जानकारी दीजिए. Please, sir.
Bariya, you studied in a private school. and public colleges and university. And you are not alone. Can you tell me what are the reasons?
Sir, I went to a private school because I believed that the infrastructure as well as the teaching quality was better when compared to the government schools in my neighborhood. Similarly, sir, I went to DU College as well as Delhi University as well as Jamia University because public colleges have better rating in the NIRF as well as are more known for their teaching quality, and therefore I chose those institutions for my education.
Okay. Since you studied, in Delhi throughout your life, what are the positive and negative changes you have seen in the city in this time?
Sir, some of the positive changes that I've seen over time in Delhi has been work by the government to reduce air pollution. One of that could include the shift to electric vehicles and electric buses more recently. I have also seen Delhi becoming more connected and last mile connectivity improve through the development of metro. Sir, with respect to the negative changes that I've seen over time, Delhi has continued to attract more and more migrants from across due to its pull factors, and therefore it has becoming more crowded, and the unfortunate reality has led to rise of slums in Delhi, and it is one of the negative things I've noted about Delhi.
Okay. You've been part of Youth Parliament. What is the purpose of Youth Parliament?
Sir, youth parliament as societies are encouraged in schools and colleges in order to acclimatize the students regarding the functionings of the parliament, as well as making them more informed citizens by active participation about the role their legislators tend to play in this legislative institution. Therefore, it is a more awareness. The role is more of awareness through participation.
Okay. You were a secretary of the Youth Parliament, right? But we have seen a lot of speakers of the Legislative Assembly being partisan. What do you suggest as a reform to end this partisan behavior on the part of the speaker?
Sir, some steps can be taken. We can borrow from the best practice of United Kingdom, where the speaker resigns from the party and when they take the role in this institution. Secondly, sir, we can also elect a speaker which is elected through consensus involving all the parties, with also a greater focus or voter percentage being given to the parties not part of the majority government, and therefore this will increase the independence of the speaker and affirm greater confidence among all the parties in the functioning of the parliament.
Good. India has been criticized for buying crude oil from Russia. If you were defending India in a United Nations, how would you defend that?
Sir, India has used the benefit of lower Russian crude oil prices, and this is primarily to fulfill our national interest. It is because our country faces the developmental challenge which Western powers who are advocating these sanctions have left back long ago. And therefore, our primary focus is to provide developmental basic necessities like affordable energy to our 1.5 crore population, first of all. Secondly, sir, we can also argue that the European countries who might judge us for taking such a step are not completely moral in their own stance as well, because they are the biggest purchasers of a refined crude oil from countries like India, and therefore we have focused on our national interest and interest of our people, and therefore this step is completely justified on our part.
You know, the smaller neighbors have generally played China card, you know, when dealing with India. In this kind of, you know, opportunistic approach by our neighbor, how would you, you know, design a policy for relationship with our smaller neighbor?
Sir, first of all, we need to accept this as a cold-hearted reality, because we also balance the bipolar powers during Cold War era in order to further our own national interest. And therefore, having recognized this as a reality in our policy while dealing with the small neighbors, we will focus on cultural as well as economic collaboration with them. First of all, we need to make them realize the role that India can play cannot be easily taken over by China. To take the example of Nepal, if we increase connectivity with Nepal, they have more to gain from us than from China because of the Himalayan border that separates the two nations. Sir, this will be a more practical step. Secondly, sir, we can also focus in collaborating with China, a past precedent of which lies in the Mamallapuram summit, where we said that we will conduct a three-way summit with our neighbors, where China and India both are on the table and participating with our neighbors, so that they don't have the option of playing the two powers against each other. And therefore, in the long term, this approach can also be considered.
Okay. Your father is a surgeon and your mother is an artist. What is the difference in approach and mindset of a person practicing medicine and a person who is an artist?
Sir, with respect to the things that I've noticed in my own parents, I would have to say that a professional like a surgeon is very disciplined in their approach. They have a very clear idea of the schedule of the day, and having to manage a team, having to work in a team, it often involves them to lead by example. And therefore, to give a small example, my father made sure that he reached office on time always. With respect to my mother, in order to make an assessment regarding her approach as an artist, she is more creative, she is more whimsical, and therefore this brings out the most talented energies out of her. And therefore, I would have to say, having utilized that whimsy, is not very disciplined, but her approach is definitely is different from a lay person.
Okay. My last question: your first choice is Indian Foreign Services. Are you ready for the personal challenges for a woman aspirant?
Yes, sir. I am very excited to join the cadres as an Indian Foreign Service, primarily because international relations is so much of an area of my interest. Secondly, sir, I believe that India is a rising power and I would love to serve my country as a diplomat. And thirdly, sir, I really enjoy meeting new people and going to new cultures, experiencing them, and therefore it will be an opportunity for me more than a challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have any role models in the IFS?
Yes, sir. I have been following the work of Ruchira Kamboj ma'am, who is the permanent representative to United Nations.
IFS, yes.
Yes, sir. So I believe that her work has furthered our cultural diplomacy in UNESCO. Sir, I also very much like the approach of our current Foreign Minister, 𝐿_𝐸𝐵. He is very succinct in his words and has established India as a rising power, as a leading power in the world today.
Your advice to remember Nirupama Rao and Chokila Iyer. They were the first. She was the first, Chokila Iyer from Sikkim. Second was Nirupama Rao, and a few other lady diplomats. That was I should have mentioned. But yes, Ruchira Kamboj is one of the brightest, and 𝐿_𝐸𝐵, her Shringla too. All right. Okay. Now I'm asking you something. Let me point out to you. Please desist from using the word whimsical. Okay? What
May I
you
make
could do is, you will get the recording, but up to you. But get the gist of it. Whenever you have to use any words, right, such as what you might want to substitute instead of that is less run by a clock. Okay? Less procedural or less constrained by.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, tell me the difference between our nuclear explosion of 1974 and
91.
1998.
98. Sorry, sir.
98. Okay, May 98. Two occasions within 98, about a fortnight, week apart. What was the essential message between the 1974? What was the difference between the messaging between the two?
Sir, in the 1974 nuclear explosion, the intent was to highlight that we can use nuclear power. However, the focus was on its use as nuclear energy, and therefore we highlighted to the world that we did not make a statement as becoming a nuclear power in itself. However, with the 1998 explosion, we established ourselves as capable of using nuclear weapons, and therefore the messaging was, in 1998 we reflected ourselves to be prepared in terms of hard power in dealing with our nuclear neighbors like China.
Compress this 50-second answer into a 10-second answer.
Sir, in 1974, our focus was on using nuclear power as an energy, and therefore, in 1998.
Let me suggest you. In 1974, we showed to the world that we have nuclear technology.
Yes, sir.
In 1998, we showed to the world that we are in nuclear power.
Yes, sir.
That's what a good diplomat does. Leave a lot of things to the others. Okay? I'm asking you just one more question. Explain to me the difference between an international border, LOC, and LAC in a way that I understand distinctly the differences.
Sir, an international border is a border which is mutually decided by both the countries and accepted across geopolitical maps as well.
All right.
LOC is our border with Pakistan, which has been accepted as a de facto border running across Jammu and Kashmir, and it continues to be a zone of contention due to POK. LAC is our border, which is line of actual control between India and China, and this border also remains contested, and it is a part of it runs across our western.
There is a distinction between LOC and LAC. Going back to the history, LOC is a line. It may be contentious as a result of treaty, as a result of skirmishes, but it was arrived at, and it's a line. LAC is a wide area which was never arrived at.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please read about this. LAC is a general area. It was drawn उस पहाड़ से उस पहाड़ तक, imaginary line. So you cannot actually draw a line. You cannot actually build a fence because it is still not a final thing, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay. I am not going to ask you any questions per se, but just one observation which you will make. Is our diplomacy much more muscular today? Comment. And give examples.
Sir, our diplomacy has improved across the years, and we have changed contours with respect to our diplomatic behavior in the international stage. However, sir, I would not go as far as to say that it is muscular, as there is much more scope of improvement. With respect to muscular, sir, I interpret that we have diplomats, we have enough diplomats manning our diplomatic missions and furthering our agenda on the international stage. However, the reality remains that we have about 1,000 diplomats manning 180 missions across the world. There is much greater need to increase human resource in our foreign services.
Sorry, I think I was misunderstood. Muscular does not mean more people. You can have 2,000 more diplomats and they can continue to be wimps if the leadership at the back is not muscular. What I meant by muscular is it more aggressive? Think Jaishankar. He's almost Rambo in a bandana, isn't it? So the point is that from Syed Akbaruddin to 𝐼𝐨𝐥𝐿 to Jaishankar Sahib, whosoever, when they utter something, it is with a very different kind of language, and the belief that what they are saying is registering and you better listen to us. That kind of thing. That's what I meant by muscular. It was not about nice French phrases which somebody will go and interpret and ho, ha, ha. It's not that trying to be on the best behavior thing anymore. Anyway, think about it. So your interview, I would like to, it has been a delight talking to you. It's been longer than I thought, but okay. There are some things which I need to point out.
Yes, sir.
See, your case is rare that you have taken up IFS as your first choice.
Yes, sir.
So the expectations from you are very high. You have to live up to them. When is your interview? I'm sorry?
Sir, it is on 28th March.
28th. You have some time.
Yes, sir.
There are a couple of things which you have to work on. A, you are connecting your gaze with mostly the person who has asked you the question. But in public speaking, as a debater, you have to engage the entire crowd, isn't it? Why not here?
Okay.
Sporadically, you're looking at one or two persons as if you are reminded, "Arey yaar, mujhe auron ko bhi dekhna hai." That's the impression I get. And then suddenly you go into your own shell.
Okay,
So
sir.
please work on it.
Yes, sir.
Sit in front of a mirror, have 5 people sit, and then you ask them to measure how much am I looking at you.
Okay, sir.
Okay? 2. Again, same thing with your hand movement. You are a natural expressing person. Your words, your intonation, your voice, all that is your training as a debater, I have no doubt. But along with that comes the body language. I'm using my hands, I'm not doing it consciously. It's a part of my natural being. And the UPSC expects you to be at your natural best.
Okay, sir.
Okay? So, in between, unless this is what you're comfortable with, which I suspect you're not, right? Sometimes the inner self comes out and you start expressing, and then you again go back. So one of the two is true, isn't
Okay,
it?
sir.
So please use your hands to express yourself as vividly as you can.
Okay, sir.
3. It's a very good thing that you admit 2 knowledge gaps.
Okay, sir.
Use this tactic. If you do not know something, you can firstly say that, sorry, I do not know this, or I'm not sure of the answer. If you permit, I'll take a guess.
Okay, sir.
Which brings me to the other thing. Quite a few times when you're thinking, you're looking down and then you're coming up with the answer. You know, as if you're diving in, you find the answer and then you jump out of the water and then you deliver it. Okay. So I will simply suggest to you, you may say that, sir, may I collect my thoughts? Sir, may I take a couple of seconds to answer? No harm. Even if you do it 10 times, it's okay. But it's a bit disconcerting if you've not sounded the member that you are going to think. about it.
Okay, sir.
Okay? So please, you do that. It's a bit of a courtesy too. And the good thing is that when you start speaking, you are very focused on the answer. There are lots of very good phrases coming in, and you are using some very good phraseology to express yourself, except, as I said, crisp it down, please.
Yes, sir.
ये मैंने 74-98 का सिर्फ इसीलिए पूछा था. You can speak for 20 minutes on it, but can you speak for 20 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Right? That often happens, especially for a diplomat. The core two sentences are the messaging and the rest is fluff.
Yes, sir.
So, the core two messages, the core two sentences should be very well constructed in your mind. The more you are able to practice on it, the better your answers will become.
Okay, sir.
Right? Then, that's about it. Yeah, that's about it.
Sir, if
Voice, eloquence, choice of phrases, not the issue. Eyes, hands you have to work on, and taking options on.
Sir,
Otherwise, very well done.
if I can add something, I think very few people can smile sitting in that chair, and you do that. So keep it, the same way.
No, she's a natural.
Yeah.
It's there.
You're very good. Your personality is very good, and you're admitting whether you don't know the answers. But some areas, some knowledge gaps are there.
Yes, ma'am.
Just try to fill it up. I'm sure you're going to do well. Wish you all the best.
राजेश साहब Bariya है.
Yeah.
Check. Very well done. Just keep polishing. I want to see you there. Okay? I want to see you there.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chaliye.
Sir, if I may ask a question.
Please go ahead.
I want to ask my question about the appropriateness of my attire. This sari,
Madam जी आप बताओ. Perfectly all
I'll tell
right.
you outside. I think it is very good, but 1 or 2 points I'll tell you outside. Not in
You want to sober them down.
No. I didn't want to tell him that.
All right. Perfectly all right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Girl talk.